Welcome, everyone. This is Awaken Your Pleasure. Today is about intimacy and pleasure because they are essential for a healthy and fulfilling life. You're going to discover the secrets of female pleasure, how to overcome some of the common blocks that we can face, and how to unlock your potential for mind-blowing experiences without feeling ashamed or worrying about being unable to let go or feeling disconnected from your body. A lot of women are experiencing pressure, they're overthinking or worried about it, feeling they have to perform, and also aren't able to let go. That starts to mess with them and presents its own set of challenges. My goal here today is just to show you how you're wired to experience pleasure. Women, we are so orgasmic. We can have over 9+ different types of orgasms, and pleasure is your birthright. And you don't need a lover to begin. It all just starts with you. You being your own best lover, that helps open you up to so much more pleasure and helps you attract better lovers. And that helps you become a better lover just by being your own best lover and connecting to our bodies. So often we will ignore this. We want someone else to bring this pleasure to us. And when we are denying this pleasure from ourselves, and we're not willing to go there and bring this pleasure to ourselves, then it's almost like law of attraction or how the universe works. We're not going to have other people that are as excited about bringing us pleasure either. So it starts with how we show up for ourselves. I want you to finally live a life filled with pleasure and confidently embrace your sensuality. There can be so much shame around that, and I'm going to dive deeper into that as well. What you're going to discover today is secret number 1 is going to be common intimacy and pleasure blocks and how to overcome them. Number 2, what your biggest sex organ is and tips to stimulate it for better orgasms and more pleasure. Secret number 3, how tantric breathing can radically increase your pleasure and desire. Sometimes we can feel disconnected from desire and not feel turned on. And our breath and tantric breathing practices really help to ignite that flame within us. So this is just an overview of the masterclass. It's going to be 90 minutes. Sometimes I go a little long because I do to over deliver, and I'm going to answer questions at the end, but it's 90 minutes. I'm just going to give you a quick background of who I am, especially if you haven't been in my world before and you're new, and welcome if you are. I'm looking forward to getting to know you. Then we're going to go into the workshop content. I have a program offer that I'll be sharing with you, and then we're going to follow that with Q&A where you get to have your questions answered, and I really love that. And just a shame-free space, so don't be shy. I want to be able to help answer any questions that you may be having. Now, the way to get the most out from this workshop is just be present, which is interesting is also when we're being present with a lover and being present with ourselves, that's also how we get more pleasure. But be present, be engaged, take notes, and maintain confidentiality. So anything that someone shares here, don't go out and share it in the world. You can just share from your experience here. And then who I am. I am Dominique D'Vita. I'm a tantric coach that helps women tap into their soul's desires and unlock levels of pleasure that can transform you just from the inside out. And it impacts how you show up in the world, in your body, how you show up in your life. And I embody my sensuality, and I no longer settle for mediocre relationships or experiences. I first became great at sex because I'm a recovering people pleaser. And so I would be so wanting to tune in and be so great for my lovers. That's how I stumbled upon this path. But then as I started to learn to heal from that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to tolerate that anymore. And so I raised the bar and changed that for myself. I attract better lovers and opportunities. I approach relationships from a place of confidence and clarity, not lack or scarcity. And I'm not begging to be chosen, but I'm choosing with confidence. And there's even periods of time that I'll be celibate and I'll just be my own best lover, and I'll work on what I'm wanting to heal, what next level of a person I'm wanting to call in, and first start to embody that myself. I know there's a thing you think a sex coach, like I'll be having sex all the time, but actually it had me be more aware of the choices that I'm making. And so not settling and not needing to have my ego validated or having sex for the wrong reasons. I choose it to be empowered, or I choose to do things to rock my own world, which I'd love to share with my clients. I have been a registered nurse for decades. This is me. I have a training where I can take the role of an assisting surgeon. I've assisted with open heart surgeries, brain surgeries. Here I am with a $1 million robot helping with robotic surgery. And now I've gone from opening people's hearts with surgery and doing it on their minds, opening people's hearts with Tantra and opening their minds and connecting with their souls through Tantric practices. And then on the right is the photo of me in Vietnam doing volunteer work. I've done missionary work in Vietnam and Haiti, Mexico, and I was teaching the anesthesiologist advanced life support techniques. This is me studying. I am a sexpert. I have over 10,000 hours. I've done intense studying. I became a certified Tantra educator, and now I am a trauma-informed master coach. In addition to being a registered nurse, I began being a nurse when I was 19, so I'm very familiar with the human body. And it was always so interesting to see how my patients would have disease. A lot of that is unhealthy emotions that get trapped within us. And disease is just that. It's like dis-ease. It's this discomfort we have in our bodies. And pleasure is the antidote for that. But so many people, we've repressed our sexual desires. But I've gone down this rabbit hole of learning all I can about how the body works and how pleasure can empower us and heal us. Before I had my first tantric lover, I was a recurring guest on Playboy Radio. Here I am with the famous porn star Taylor Wayne. And she even will share that she learned sex tips from me. I'm a Scorpio born on Halloween. I've always been very fascinated by sex. And this is me. I had a booth a couple of years at Amber Rose's Slut Walk in Los Angeles. This is me here at the booth. And I went from having performative sex to get my ego validated, to having soulgasms that nourish my soul and have empowered me to live my passion and my purpose fully. I even left behind my nursing career almost 3 years ago to go all in with my Tantra coaching, because I can see I can have an impact with people before they reach a hospital and help them to live their lives more fully and stop playing small, living from fear, and really living from a place of love and empowerment. The orgasm, it's mainly with heterosexual relationships. Same-sex relationships are not experiencing this, but in heterosexual couples, heterosexual men report that they usually or always orgasm during sex at a rate of 95%, whereas heterosexual women report that they usually are always orgasm during sex. And orgasming during sex doesn't mean they orgasm with penetrative sex. That number is even smaller, and there's no shame in that. If you're not able to, that's okay, but I do help my clients to where they're able to do that. But there's definitely this big gap, and so I am here to really close that gap. I also work with men, and I teach my male clients how to separate the orgasm from their ejaculation so they can have full body orgasms, stamina for hours. And the longer a man can last, then the more orgasmic a woman's going to be able to be, because so often men will finish right when our arousal cycle is where we're just getting started. I love this quote by Dr. Ruth. I started watching Dr. Ruth when I was 15. The principal concern for women is not having an orgasm, but a woman has to take responsibility for her own orgasms. And it's up to the man to not be offended when she tells him what she needs. But so often we're not comfortable communicating what our needs or our desires are. Now, while you're here today, you want to feel amazing pleasure in your body. You want to feel confident expressing your desires and your needs. So I'm going to go into secret number 1, common intimacy and pleasure blocks and how to overcome them. Now, we're going to start with something that you may not have heard of, but they went over this with me a lot when I was in nursing school, and it's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And when I work with my clients, I do a holistic approach, a 360 approach, and work to look at all areas of their lives. And on our hierarchy of needs, one thing that can be blocking us from having an intimacy if our needs are not fully met, even on this scale. The very bottom of this pyramid is your physiological needs. That is safety, shelter, having food, things like that. And above that is safety. A big thing even for women not being able to have orgasms is if we don't feel safe with our lover. If either maybe our lover, we're not fully sure, our intuition, the feminine intuition is very strong. If intuitively feel like something is off, maybe we're concerned if they're cheating on us, maybe we're concerned if they're really interested in us or they're just using us for sex, we can have these fears coming up. Whenever a woman feels safe, that's when you're going to be able to be your most orgasmic. I have had lovers, when I had my first tantric lover, I was actually able to have energy orgasms around him to where even if I was just laying next to him, I could orgasm just from feeling the energy of him. After we dated for a period of time, and when I started to feel like I was disconnecting and I was feeling this relationship wasn't serving me, his feelings were hurt because I wasn't having energy orgasms anymore. But it was like my body, our bodies are so wise. And my body was, yeah, you've been having fun with him, but something isn't fully right for you. And so our bodies can literally shut down. I've even had clients that have had things like vaginismus, where you'll have a contraction in your vaginal walls, and it's literally not wanting you to be penetrated by that person sometimes. And so for a woman, we want to feel safe. If you want to have G-spot orgasms, those orgasms flow the best when you're in a very safe, secure relationship. So safety is so key. I'm feeling love, the belongingness. Whenever we talk about Tantra, we work with the heart chakra is really big. And so for its opposite with men and women, our positive pole or our positive energy is in our heart center. Men, their positive pole is where? Their jewels and their genitals. And for women, that's why we want to feel loved and connected before we'll open up our legs. We want to open up the hearts first. Before Tantra, I was approaching sex like Samantha on Sex and the City. I was very my masculine energy, and I would approach sex like a man would. But then when I started to open up my heart chakra, and a lot of times we have that closed from past traumas and the mother-father wound, hurtful relationships, and we're guarded and we have this armoring, right? And then we can be closed up and our pleasure gets locked away with that as well. But whenever we feel that loved and accepted, like this will open. And then in Tantra, they call the vagina or vulva the yoni, which means sacred space. And then that will open and the orgasms will flow. Men, again, their positive pole is the penis. So that's why men will be really quick to want to send a dick pic or something like that. They're like, oh, look at this. Do you accept this about me? Does this excite you? And then after having sex with them, having a relationship with them, then their heart energy may open up. But their first thing they're thinking about is with their dick most of the time, unless they're already getting more evolved. Now, for women, we want love and romance. So this has to open for the legs and for the yoni to open, and it's opposite with males. So that's why you'll see that. And then the esteem comes from your confidence. Are you confident? Do you feel confident in your body? Sometimes if we have body dysmorphia or we've had negative things said to us by our parents and subconscious beliefs, or we're feeling we're not worthy, that can really block our ability to experience intimacy and pleasure. And we get to the very highest point of this pyramid is self-actualization. And that's actually what Tantra helps you to do, to get to that high level of self-actualization. Having your safety needs met. Do you feel safe? Is it a space where you're making love? Is it a place that makes you, are you able to relax? Or is it a place where you're feeling a lot of tension in your body? What is the mood? What is the energy? All those things come into play. Another thing that can block us from having intimacy and pleasure is there's a lot of shame and programming of shame from us, even as early as age 18 months. There's a lot of shame regarding sexuality. So if you look here at this emotional frequency scale, on the vibration of emotions, the lowest vibration is shame, but majority of people are here at the level of 20 of shame or living in fear, anger, or grief. Whenever you're at a place where you're having self-love, when you're loving yourself, that frequency you're emitting is 500. And our auric field around us, and especially a field of love, we can radiate our wingspan, double that of a field of energy of love around us. And it can be felt. You can feel that. You notice sometimes when people enter a room, the energy in the room can shift. We can feel very receptive to that person. Or if people walk in and you can feel the anger, you can see their body language, then it's like a repelling energy. We're all like magnets. So our energy is either having things be drawn to us, either people, circumstances, opportunities, or like it can be the energy where we're repelling other energies. So if we're wanting to attract a certain type of person in our lives, we need to embody that same energy and those same values because it attracts. But so often we are operating around sex or sexuality from a place of shame or feeling guilt or fear, or there's religious things from our parents, things that we've been told. And a lot of these are in our subconscious programming. So it's really very interesting. So at the higher levels here on the scale, you can see where we're like more expanded, we're open. The lower levels of emotions are contracted. And you notice when people fear, shame, they're down, and your body image, and you might look away, and you like your shoulders are hunched over, you're literally contracted in your body. I do a lot with somatics, and it's expanding and like having this openness. And it's really amazing. And opening up the heart chakra and having that love, that automatically starts to raise your frequency. Shame is something many experience, and it holds them back in their lives. It also impacts our ability to have deep intimacy and connection with our lover and ourselves. And this spot can hold you back from experiencing profound pleasure that you're longing for. It's important to be aware that shame can be a subconscious belief that's holding you back from experiencing orgasms. You can spend the next few years learning the negative impact shame has had on you. It begins as early as age 18 months. It's often an unconscious thing we're not aware of, but that we've been swimming around in. It will cost you time and money to dive into this and explore it on your own, or you could receive guidance on this and uncover how this is blocking you and how to overcome it. I went into a very rigorous program and became a trauma-informed master coach. I went into a lot with learning about emotional release, trauma release, inner child healing, nervous system regulation, somatics, paradigm shifting, and so much more, and going a lot into subconscious programming and how to change that and to have a different experience in our body and in our lives. A part of letting go of shame and also letting go of people pleasing is key. I am a recovering people pleaser. That's how I got so good at sex, because I was wanting to be the best at everything, right? So that my lover would want to continue to be with me. I didn't even make that connection until a couple of years ago, after I was already certified as a Tantra educator. And I was like, oh my goodness, like really? So I just continue to go on this journey myself. I'm right here with you of self-discovery and learning these things and breaking through them. Breaking through emotional blocks, just tackling some common emotional blocks that can keep you from tapping into your pleasure potential. Often in our society, we recycle emotions. We don't fully allow emotions to come out. So past fears, anger, hurts, we keep that in. And if you notice, if something stressful happens, we just suck it up. And we learn that as a child. How often as a child were you told big girls or big boys don't cry, or if you're going to cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about? We learn from a very young age to bottle our emotions up. And those emotions are numbing us from experiencing pleasure. Imagine that you have a stereo system and there's like a dimmer switch. When you turn down the volume of like pain and hurt and anger, it's a master control. And you're also turning down the other emotions of pleasure, joy, and bliss. You're muting things out for yourself. So to fully feel these other good emotions, you need to, instead of trying to disconnect or repress those things, because repression and suppression lead to depression, have tools to let go of those emotions. And when I've done the emotional release practices and techniques, or I've done anger burns or emotional release writing, and I let the anger and everything out, sometimes I can feel turned on afterwards, because underneath all that anger and things like that's where our turn on is often hiding. And instead we can be like, oh my gosh, I feel numb, or I feel so blah. But if we're afraid to face off with the challenging emotions, we're also ignoring the pleasurable experiences that are underneath that. And then being able to own your desires, learning how to communicate your needs openly and create a more fulfilling and pleasurable experience for you and your partner. So wild that we can be totally butt naked with our lover, right? And do things, give them oral sex, whatever, but we can't speak our truth or let them know what we really want. And we just hope that they'll figure it out. But our lovers are not mind readers. They're not psychic. So even if you're not quite comfortable just moaning and things like that and giving them some cues, verbal cues, and let them know, or just say, oh, that feels good when something does feel good. And don't fake orgasms, because then your partner's going to be like, oh, they'll remember, oh, they really like that. They had an orgasm, and they'll just repeat doing that. We don't want that. So having that communication is key. And it's really important that you learn how to use your voice and ask for what you want and be able to communicate that without having shame or being like, oh, I think that's going to hurt their ego, so I'm not going to say that, because then you're diminishing your needs, and your needs are just as important as their own. And remember, you are your longest lasting relationship from your first breath to your last. So be a good lover to yourself by advocating for yourself. The other thing is embracing your sensuality. Release the shame around your sexuality and tap into your innate sensuality, increasing your pleasure and desire in the process. Some things that help overcome pleasure blocks are mindful meditation, just quietening the mind. Helps you with minimizing stress, which when your cortisol levels are higher and things like that, that can impact what we're experiencing in our body, can cause tension. It's more challenging to orgasm, anxiety, all those things can be blocking our pleasure. Discover ways to deepen intimacy, trust, and pleasure with your partner, or find alternative ways to explore solo pleasure. This is a really beautiful technique in Tantra called Yab Yum, and the woman can actually wrap their legs around the partner, and you can do this with or without clothes, with or without being penetrated, and your chakras and your energy centers will line up with your lover, and you're able to have a lot of sensation. Eye contact and eye gazing is intimacy, and you're just having this really beautiful connection and taking nice deep breaths together. Is a beautiful practice. And how often can we have sex with someone, but making eye contact can be a super edgy practice, right? We'd be like, oh my gosh. But no, the eyes are the windows of the soul, and making that connection, we're able to have better experiences. And just the mind-body connection, explore the energy of your body and discover techniques to connect and free your sensual self. Exploring your body. Like a lot of times we'll be really enthusiastic about exploring our lover's body, but we don't take the time to do that for ourselves. Secret number 2, what your biggest sex organ is and tips to stimulate it for more pleasure and better orgasms. So your largest sex organ is your brain, the mind-body connection. Understand how the mind influences the body to experience pleasure and learn techniques to strengthen this connection. And with arousal, you can unlock the secrets of your largest sex organ and the brain's pleasure pathways. And masturbation techniques, discover solo techniques to explore and expand and prolong your pleasure potential. A lot of times, especially if we're self-pleasuring, we know how to get from point A to point B really fast, right? So we'll just do that and go down that pathway. And that's like neuroplasticity, the pleasure pathways in our brains and our brain's pathways. And we'll do it really fast. But if a lover was to be that fast with us, we'd be like, hey, what are you doing? Why aren't you taking your time with me? And your body is wondering the same thing. Why are you not taking your time with me? Slow down, discover yourself, use different sensations, pleasure mapping with your fingertips or your fingernails, or pitter patter like the rain, or kneading sensations in different areas of your body, or use a feather and see how that feels for you, right? And then when you learn this about yourself, you can share that with a lover as well. I teach my clients practices to support your brains, and with neuroplasticity, we can create new pleasure pathways and prolong pleasure pathways so you can have more pleasure. But when we go down a way of experiencing pleasure one way all the time, it's almost like a ski slope, and that groove is really deep, and we just continue to go down that path. It's almost like going off-roading with neuroplasticity techniques that I teach my clients so you can create new pleasure pathways and have a new experience with pleasure in your brain. With the brain, when we're overthinking, we're under-feeling. So one of practice that really supports our pleasure is meditative practice. And the longer a man is able to meditate, the longer he'll be able to last in bed. The longer a woman can meditate, the more easily we'll be able to orgasm, because the brain is the largest sex organ. But often we are living from the neck up and just functioning in society in our modern world like robots, and we're so disconnected from our bodies. And what I love about Tantra is it helps you to connect to the sensations of your bodies and to really drop in and make that mind-body connection. When you're able to be in a meditative state, then you're actually able to tune in and connect more deeply to your pleasure and to your body. Number 3, how tantric breathing can radically increase pleasure and desire. Tantric breath work for better orgasms and increased desire. 1, since your brain is your largest sex organ, when you're breathing deeply, you're getting more oxygenated blood flow to your brain and to your sex organs. Some things you can do is setting the mood, create a comfortable and relaxing environment for yourself, and focus on your breath. Just take nice deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, and breathe deeply. I'm going to guide you in a moment on a breathing practice. And that's going to build arousal. As you breathe, just imagine that the pleasure centers in your body being activated and building that arousal. It's almost like our orgasm is like a candle flame, the flicker. And it's almost like with breathing, you're kindling that fire within you, and you're increasing that arousal. Just slowing down and breathing, and just focus on each inhale and exhale. as that pleasure starts to build, when the pleasure is getting really intense, as you're nearing climax, just continue to breathe slow and deep. You can even contract and relax your pelvic floor muscles to increase and intensify that pleasure. And just release and relax and allow yourself to fully experience the release of the orgasm and enjoy the afterglow. How often do we just get up really quick and go on to do the next thing? I invite you to just stay there for a moment and bask in how amazing that orgasm feels, and just breathe that pleasure all the way through your body. Don't let it just stay congested in your pelvic floor area. Allow it to really move up and through your body and expand, and really just stay with it for a while, and just play with like how much more pleasure are you able to experience, and not even always having the goal of an orgasm. When I first started having sex, I was with my first lover for 4 years, and I was 15 and he was 19 when we started dating. And I never had an orgasm with him. I even had a baby and never had an orgasm with him. And I thought I was frigid, but not multi-orgasmic. I found out he was doing drugs when my daughter was 6 months old. So we got divorced and I became a single mom. And then when I had a lover, the third lover I had, show me how to have my first orgasm. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is everything. It's so great. But I did think, oh, it's just me. I'm frigid. Something's wrong with me. I'm telling you, you can experience more pleasure than you've imagined possible. The 3 tenets of Tantra, which is ancient wisdom coming from India for over 5,000 years, are breath, sound, and movement. When I became a trauma-informed master coach, what was really interesting to me was that the 3 things that support healing trauma are also breath, sound, and movement. But whenever you're able to do these practices, you're going to experience more pleasure. And whenever you're able to be in a meditative state, you can be more present with your body, and you can be more present with a lover. It really changes things for you. And whenever you move, like even dancing, we're freeing up a pleasure practice. When you're dancing, if you swivel your hips like a circle 8, right, and allow them to rock, your hips to rock, you're going to increase the blood flow to your pelvic floor, and you'll start to feel turned on, aroused, especially if you play some sexy music, and you're going to be hearing sound, you're going to be breathing more deeply. And that's just a great thing to do. And then whenever you make sound, even when you're pleasuring on your own, moan and make sounds, because sound is like a thief and it steals the tension from your body. So start to use sound, but so often, again, the shame is holding us back, and people will be so self-conscious and be like, oh, I don't want to moan or make noises, or they're self-conscious, and let it go. Just allow yourself to experience pleasure, because it's amazing. Pleasure is medicine. When you're able to experience more pleasure in your body, you feel unstoppable. It's really even great to have pleasure session before you're going to have a big meeting or something, because people will not understand why you're so irresistible, but it takes the stress off, and you just move, and that energy just goes through you, and you're just a force to be reckoned with. And again, if we go back to the emotional frequency scale, if we're moving in the world through a place of shame, we're disempowered. And it's easier to control a society that is disempowered. But if we are fully lit and turned on and activated in our pleasure, we show up and take up more space, and we have more confidence, and we move through the world in a different way. You can see or feel people that are more sexual, sensual people. And sometimes those people make people uncomfortable. But if I make someone uncomfortable, that's a reflection on them. That is not a reflection on me. That is something that they have to look in within themselves as to why that's triggering, because they're not allowing this for them. So they're so uncomfortable with their pleasure that my pleasure can be activating or triggering. Okay. But pleasure is medicine, and your sexual energy is your most creative energy. And in the Tantra and the chakras and the energy centers in your body, is your sacral chakra near your navel. And that is linked to your sexual energy and your creativity. Also, anatomically with your organs, it's linked to your sex organs and your rectum and pelvic floor, and it's also linked to your mouth. So when people are not stimulating this chakra through self-pleasure or through sex, they will stimulate it through what? By the mouth, through food, through eating. Have you heard people say, oh my gosh, this tastes better than sex? A lot of times they're denying themselves sex, and they're replacing that with food. So if you start to have orgasms and experience pleasure in your body, you'll see that some of those cravings won't be as strong for you, because you're going to resource that. You're going to be stimulating that energy center in your body in a different way, because we can't ignore it. It wants to be stimulated one way or another. When you access this pleasure, your world just expands, you feel limitless, and unlimited pleasure guides us to tap into our unlimited creative potential. Now, there's tantric techniques to increase pleasure. And you have the power of your breath, unleash the power of your breath to increase arousal levels, expand your energy flow, and have deeper orgasms. And then touch. Tantra helps you use your five senses to connect to your body. Often, even if we learn something about sex, it's like you're here listening, but it's not going to be the same if you don't embody it or do a pleasure practice or exercise to feel it in your cells of like how you're being. And Tantra helps you to use your five senses so you get out of the overthinking mind, because when we're overthinking or under feeling, drop into the body where you can be present and experience more pleasure. And touch is really amazing for that. And it can increase your levels of pleasure and intimacy. Sacred sexuality is what Tantra is all about. And with sacred sexuality, you can understand the spiritual nature of sexuality and how Tantra can help you have a deeper connection with yourself and your lover. Often we wish that we could have a soulmate, and we're like, oh, I'd love to find my soulmate. Tantric sex is a way to create a soulmate relationship because you're able to make love to your partner's soul. We haven't been taught how to have empowered sex. We haven't been given the sex education that we deserve. If you think back to what sex education you had, a lot of times the majority of people have something where it was about don't get diseases, fear-based, don't get pregnant, or religious, and wait before you're married, these things, but never telling us how pleasure is medicine, how empowering it can be, the health benefits of it, how pleasure is our birthright. We're just not told these things, right? And so then we go often and we look at porn to educate ourselves, which further dumbs us down. So majority of people are having sex from an egoic place, and we're just having superficial sex, and we can not have intimacy or connection. We're just skin to skin with someone. And then we're like, why am I not having a soulmate relationship? Why are all my relationships so egoic? Why are they so superficial? Because that's how we're moving. That's how we're moving both inside and outside the bedroom. So if you want to have a soulmate type relationship, tantric sex is the key to that. If couples want to work with me, and if they're having an unhealthy relationship and I feel like there's some kind of abuse or trauma there, and they're doing a last ditch effort to try to save their marriage or relationship through Tantra, I will warn them, this is not something to do if this is a relationship that you need to step out of, because it's going to bond you to that person even more. It's a very powerful connection, but like nothing else you've ever experienced. It literally is mind-blowing. I was having better sex than the majority of my friends. And I was already a guest expert on Playboy Radio. My friends were like, you should write a book. I was having great orgasms and everything. When I had my first experience with a tantric lover, I realized I had merely been scratching the surface of what was possible for me, the tip of the iceberg. And underneath that, there was so much more. And it really broke my heart. Oh my gosh, how am I even going to tell this to my friends? And so many women are never going to experience this in their lives because so many men don't have these skills. And that's why I do work with men, so more men know how to be this type of lover. I've been with hundreds of men. I'm a sexpert. I have 10,000 hours in the field, everyone. And I've only had 2 lovers of all the lovers I've had that really fully embody this way of having sex. And it really breaks my heart. And that's why I'm so passionate about letting people know that there is a better way. Here's some tips to awaken pleasure with Tantra, because Tantra is the yoga of sex. Just discover the connection between yoga and tantric practices, how they can work together to expand your pleasure potential. A great type of yoga to try is Kundalini yoga, because it works with your chakras. Kundalini yoga is very similar to Tantra and your energy centers. And then embracing your pleasure potential. Just understand the importance of self-exploration, self-discovery, how it can lead to increased pleasure and fulfillment, and take your time with it. Be slow with yourself. Take yourself out on an amazing date and be your own best lover. You'll attract better lovers this way. And then exploring intimacy and playfulness. Embrace your playful side and try new experiences to deepen the connection with your partner, explore new levels of pleasure. And your partner doesn't even need to receive the coaching with you. I've worked with women who their husbands didn't even know they were being coached by me. Our relationships are just mirroring the relationship we have with ourselves. And when we start to show up in the relationship in a different way, our partners will respond differently, and we can start to change the dynamic of the relationship. I'm not saying one person should be doing all the work by any means, but if your partner's not quite ready and you're like, I don't know that they would be open to this, just, it can begin with you, and then see how your relationship starts to shift. And you can invite them in and be like, would you like to do this with me, when they start to see and experience the benefits of it. Breathing life into your orgasms. You can literally breathe them into your orgasms with breath work. 3 main tenets of Tantra: breath, sound, and movement. When I first learned the power of breath for more pleasure, I began to study myself and my own sexual responsiveness. I got curious, like my own lab experiment. And I noticed in those moments when I was on the verge of an epic orgasm, sometimes the orgasm would just disappear. Like, where did it go? And then I started to pay attention, and I noticed that in those moments of building up to my orgasm, when the pleasure was almost like overwhelming, I was unconsciously holding my breath and tensing up. When you do that, just think of your orgasm as a candle flame. And when you take the oxygen away from the candle flame, the flame disappears. You snuff it out. That same thing is happening with your orgasms and your pleasure. So you want to continue to breathe in deeply from those moments, and breathe deep through your body. And tantric breath work really helps you to know how to fully channel your pleasure through your body and open your chakras with it, and amazing things. So breathing, and if we tense up, if men have a lot of tension, men will orgasm too quickly. For women, if we have a lot of tension, it can actually impede us from having an orgasm and then make it disappear. That's where sound comes in. Sound is like a thief. It steals attention from your body. So moaning, even if you're on your own, yell out your own damn name, okay? You're amazing. And let go and just see what happens for you, and how you can take your pleasure to all different heights. Breathing deeply during sex and self-pleasure helps you be more orgasmic. Tantric practices focus on breath. My clients begin having mind-blowing full body bliss experiences. Even my male clients are like, I can feel my orgasm now from the top of my head down to my big toe. You can spend the next few months researching Tantra techniques and pleasure rituals on your own, or you can save your time and money by investing in proven methods that will support you in having and living a fully orgasmic life. Imagine if I'm holding a bag of puzzle pieces, right? But I'm not giving you the box. And all these little pieces that are here, you're like, okay, I know I need breath, and I know I need this, I know that. But if you don't really know the sequence of putting it all together, it can take longer to figure out. And then sometimes people just get frustrated and they give up. Having that guidance can really help. There's so many health benefits of orgasms as well. It helps your skin glow. It has anti-aging benefits. It also helps stimulate your collagen production. On Halloween, I will be 55. Like, orgasms are literally the fountain of youth for women. They can age men, though. If men are having ejaculatory orgasm, that can age them. Taoist beliefs, which Taoist stuff from Eastern medicine, from China, practices are very similar to tantric practices. And the Taoists believe that the reason on average the lifespan of females is longer than males is because that men lose a lot of their chi, or life force energy, through frequent ejaculation. Women, we are energized by our orgasms. We lose energy through menstruation, through childbirth, through pregnancy. Whereas men, they lose their energy through ejaculation. That's why you'll notice after sex, a woman, if we're orgasmic, we can be more talkative, whereas a man will quickly fall asleep. That's because they're draining their life force energy. And sometimes the next day, if they're not reaching out, if we're dating or something, they don't reach out to us the next day, and we're wondering why. Sometimes even their bodies are trying to protect them, because they have to build up all the DNA from that load of ejaculation. Has all these minerals. It could have created like 1 million lives. So they have to replenish that. So their body wants them to like hold off for a second, and so they can regenerate this. Because if men are ejaculating too frequently, it can have negative consequences on their health, and also it decreases their focus, all those things. Other thing is, orgasms lower your stress hormone, cortisol, and the majority of diseases are created by cortisol, the stress hormone. High blood pressure, cancers, other diseases, cortisol. So you're lowering your stress hormones when you're having an orgasm. And you also release oxytocin and other feel-good and happy serotonin, and it improves your sleep. There's numerous benefits, especially for women, to be orgasmic. The conclusion here is just discover yourself, explore and understand your body and pleasure centers for increased satisfaction. When you become your own best lover, and you know how to communicate with your lover your wants and your desires and what turns you on, then that makes you a better lover. Let go of shame. Free yourself from the shame or any beliefs that you've taken on from your parents, from a religion, society, that are holding you back. And then just being able to, even working with your throat chakra, a lot of times our throat chakra, the energy center here, can be blocked and we're not comfortable speaking our truth or asking for our needs to be met. But learning how to open this and activate it and openly communicate our desires with our partner to create fulfilling and pleasurable experiences. And then practice makes perfect. So just continue at it and don't get frustrated or to give up. Just continuously practice tantric techniques to increase your pleasure potential and explore new heights of intimacy and satisfaction. So just to recap what you just learned, we went over common intimacy and pleasure blocks, how to overcome them, what your biggest sex organ is, and tips to stimulate it for better orgasms, and how tantric breathing can radically increase your pleasure and desire. Just take my word for it. I'm going to let you hear from other women that are just like you. Here's my client. I was coached by Yes Tantra in 2019 and the very beginning of 2020. She helped me drop deeper into myself and rise up to self-love and pleasure. Through her work and my homework, I manifested an amazing relationship that got her happily through COVID. And as well, her sex life just blossomed with him. She taught me so much about how to practice self-love and explore my sexuality with myself. Thank you, my friend. I love supporting women. And some people are too shy to publicly leave a testimonial or share. When they're comfortable sharing, I really appreciate that. And then Kim says, the practices are powerful, but Dom herself is such a powerful woman. Her support, love, and ability to hold space was very powerful and healing and helpful for me through not only this healing journey, but also through my whole experience. If you're ready to heal something that you've been putting off, it's like the sexual healing Marvin Gaye would sing about. If you're ready for a huge transformation, or you're ready to experience more orgasms and have this amazing life, I highly suggest and recommend that you join Dom's program. You're not going to be disappointed, and really you're just going to come out the other side feeling amazing. This is anonymous, but I really love that what's this shared, because I know so many people struggle with this. They said, over the years, I've struggled with how sexy is too sexy and trying to find the line between artistic and trashy. And in all honesty, I've lost a lot of my sexual drive too. That's very common. I very much think these things are related as they coincide perfectly. To feel stifled is how I presented myself to the world, definitely stifled me in other areas where my sexual freedom was my superpower before. It's been interesting to navigate, and honestly, I'm grateful for the experience. I've been finding my way back to my sexuality with help from Yes Tantra these last few months, and it's been wonderful. We don't have to dress sexy, talk about sex, rap about our wet lady bits, have sex all the time, or want to masturbate 24/7 to feel empowered. But if those things help us feel more ourselves, who the hell is anyone to say it's wrong? And my Instagram was at Yes Tantra for several years, but they let go of my page, unfortunately. So now it's Yes D'Vita, DVITA, and you can find me there. And Sarah said she was feeling numb and disconnected from her body from past traumas. And she also had body dysmorphia. She shared with me that her genitals felt like plastic when she would touch herself because of the numbness she was experiencing. She was in a group program of mine, and the focus wasn't on orgasmic techniques. It was on how to manifest with your orgasms. However, I did share some orgasmic tips there, and she began to apply them. And within 6 months, she began experiencing sensation and pleasure again, which is really amazing. Would you like to know how I can help even more? Let me check in the chat and see what else is here. I'm going to answer any questions that you have. Awesome. So are you ready to be fully orgasmic? Just drop a 1 in the chat if you're ready to learn more and make that a reality for you. I have a program for women. It's an amazing 6-week group program for women. I'm going to share more information with you, and then we're going to go into Q&A. What you'll get, you will have group coaching sessions every week. You're going to experience expert coaching to uncover and unlock the full power of your orgasms and your turn on. Discover your pleasure and intimacy blocks, receive guidance, tools, and techniques to move past them and step into your orgasmic life. Be supported by a group of amazing women like you, which is so powerful too, because it's important that we're able to have these conversations. How often are you able to be in a space and really deeply talk about sex? It can be challenging. I love when I'm in different groups, like some of my coaches are Esther Perel, and I'm in sessions work, and it's fun to be in those spaces where people are comfortable diving deeper into this. But most people, if they will talk about it, it's just at a surface level. But when we can go deep into these conversations and really explore what's there and excavate that, amazing things happen. And you get comfortable using your voice, and you're in a safe space to start talking about it. And when you can talk about it together as women and come together as community, it's going to be easier for you to have and get support to how to navigate these conversations with a lover or with a partner. You're going to get 6 90-minute live coaching calls with Q&A, and we'll have hot seat coaching there. And there will also be replays available each week in case you're not able to make it during the live call. What we will cover: 1, discovery. So the first week is discovery, and you're going to explore your subconscious pleasure and intimacy blocks with a pre-session questionnaire. It's pretty intense, and it's going to dive deep into your present and past orgasmic challenges. Before we have our first call, I'm going to review everyone's forms, and I'm going to bring some magic in with that. I do a lot of intuitive coaching as well. During that first session, we're going to dive deep on these things and explore what these questionnaires revealed as common themes that we're experiencing within the group. And then I'm going to share tips and practices to help you from beginning to begin to overcome those challenges. And we can set an intention of how we want to move forward during the time together of overcoming obstacles you have. The second call is going to be on embodiment. A lot of times we can know things logically. Like when we read a lot of self-help books, we can know it for a bit, but if we don't embody it and have a felt sense of what it's like, it's not really wisdom, and it can quickly be forgotten. Embodiment is to bring it in and know it with who you be on a cellular level. So I'm going to be teaching embodiment group coaching session on week 2, and I'm going to be sharing weekly pleasure practices with you so you can connect more deeply to your body, to your pleasure, to your desire. I'm going to be sharing somatic practices, tantric practices, a lot of different rituals so you can dive in deep. And it also will help you in regulating your nervous system, which will help with trauma and help to support your relationships. Week 3, we're going to go into magnetism and radiance, how to really magnetize things to you, how to really show up in the world in your most vibrant without being contracted, playing small, to really feel comfortable to take up space and be who you are and shine your light. Like we're all these beacons of light, and it's so important that we stay lit up and we shine our light to help other people find their way home. So we can be a living example of what it's like to be fully turned on and activated and not to be playing small anymore. So just become magnetic and irresistible, feel sexy in your skin, and also learn to balance your masculine and feminine energies. Because when they say opposites attract, it's about opposite energies attracting within the masculine and the feminine. I'm going to go deep into those dynamics, and it's going to really support your relationships. Because when these dynamics are off, our relationships, there can be no spark or desire. And our relationships, we can feel more like we're living with a roommate instead of a lover. That can really take its toll over time. But understanding the polarity of masculine, feminine energy is key. And we'll dive deep into that. Week 4 is going to be authenticity. Unleash your authentic self group coaching session. Strip away that good girl, the people pleaser. No more. Discover the power of your sexual energy and who you really are. Like, who are you when you let go of what you think everyone else wants you to be? Like at your core, your essence of what is your deepest desire. So we need to stop being so perfect for everyone else. You have this one life. Live your life fully, authentically, and find out and discover who you are when you let go of whatever the other people's expectations or beliefs or what their needs are. Often what's blocking our pleasure is we're so busy tuning into everyone else's needs that we're not tuned into our own. And just start to let go of shame, and again, stop dimming your light. Be fully lit and turn on. An expression group coaching, using your voice, unlocking your throat chakra to be in your fullest expression. When our throat chakra is open, our pelvic floor and our pussy or yoni are open and able to experience more pleasure. If you do a cross section, a diagram of the vocal cords in the throat, it looks very similar to a cross section of the pelvic floor and the female anatomy. So when we open this and we're more expressive, wow, it's such a game changer. And then we're able to communicate with our lover what our desires and our needs are. Week 6 is going to be boundaries. Boundaries are sexy group coaching session. Stop people pleasing and allow yourself to be pleased and filled with pleasure. We will dive deep into how a lack of boundaries is diminishing your desire and blocking your pleasure. Plus, I'm going to guide you on how to start creating powerful boundaries in your relationships. This is not just going to help your romantic relationships, your relationships with friends, with families, at work. It's going to be a game changer across the board. In the program, you're also going to receive support in a group community. So much magic happens here. This is where you're going to be sharing with the other women in the group in between the coaching calls and sharing questions you're having or wins or resistance comes up. On weekdays during business hours, I'll be in there too, and I'll be answering your questions and giving feedback. You'll be getting that in real time throughout the container. It's really invaluable. A lot of magic happens there. And you're going to be getting bonuses with this that are going to support your journey. You're going to get the Female Pleasure Masterclass replay, where I share about the 9+ types of orgasms. I'm also a nurse, and I show the anatomy of where these are located with some oral sex skills. This is also great to share with your lover too. They can learn a lot about our anatomy because we don't get that education when we first get sex education. Then Awakening Your Feminine Magic Masterclass replay, and how awakening and being with our emotions and tapping into our power with our pleasure. That's really amazing too. You'll have that bonus. And then Healing from Sexual Shame Masterclass replay. And it has some extra bonuses on how to work with emotions and let go of some of those hurtful and painful emotions. You'll have a portal where you'll get to access all of these things. Then the Male Stamina Masterclass replay. If you don't want to be with a man, that's okay. But also for the future or current man in your life, this is something that you can share with them as well. And it helps them to last longer, because when men can last longer, we're going to get to be able to be more orgasmic, because men are really fast to get turned on. They're like microwave ovens, right? Really quick. They're ready to go. And then boom, they can be done. And we're like a conventional oven. We need to be preheated, right? Then it takes the time to warm up. And then it takes longer for it to cook and to fully be ready. And so we have this gap here that is creating the orgasm gap. Another really powerful bonus is going to be a guided heart chakra opening meditation I'm going to take you on. It also is going to include my 12 Days to Tantric Self-Love ebook, which has Tantric daily self-love practices and video links in there. It's like a little mini course with tips and techniques. Pink Tantra focuses on your heart chakra and self-love. And when our heart chakra is blocked, we are closed off in relationships and unknowingly block the love we wish to receive. So there will be a video recording of me guiding you to open up this chakra and this energy center. It'll be very powerful. And this chakra is your connection chakra. It connects your lower and your upper chakras to one another, and it connects you to the world around you. And just remember, you are the love of your life, and you are your longest lasting relationship. So this is really powerful. The total market value for all of this for the coaching is $11,232, but today you get it for $997. So that's a special offer that's happening now, and I am going to answer your questions to that. Here are some frequently asked questions, like, do I need a partner? No, you don't need a partner to begin. It just starts with you. You are your own best lover, and you're going to attract better partners. I started attracting better lovers when I took a break and I started doing self-love and tantric self-love pleasure practices with myself. And then, wow, my dating life totally changed, because we don't want to attract what we want. We attract who we are. Then what if I'm not able to attend all the calls? There will be replays, so you get to have access to go back to them. And how do I know if this will work for me? That's such a great question. You have to show up and do the work. I can't do the work for you, but whenever you commit to yourself and you do the practices and show up for yourself and do the work, you're going to start feeling more pleasure. Just like repetition, it's like this inner gym that you're going to. Whenever you go to work out with a trainer, you're not going to just go for one workout and then all of a sudden you're ripped and have a 6-pack of abs. It takes that consistency. It takes the repetition, the muscle memory. Same thing with your body and your pleasure, and it will start to build over time, and you'll get that result. And everyone, just depending on their blocks and how long it takes to work past those, it can take longer. So I can't guarantee a time, but if you continue to show up and follow the practices, you will get results. And if you can't afford it, there is a payment plan option on there. It's a little bit extra if you need to do it in payments. People use PayPal credit because PayPal will offer you also 0 interest for 6 months with approved credit. If you don't have time to do the practices, just do it. You can make this and you have 6 weeks, right? But you have the replay, so you can go back and continue to do them over again and take more time if you need more time. So you will have access to replays so that you can continue to access the material. You can make this work for you. How to join will be in the link that was shared above. And I'm going to have you ask me any of your questions. You can't see my dress. My dress is like sexy ladies. You see that? Perfect for a Awakening Your Pleasure Masterclass. Here's a great question. I'm pregnant at the moment, so I'm not sure how that would work right now. I totally get that. It's really great. You can lower your stress levels and everything. And you need to just check with your physician. As long as you're having a healthy pregnancy, you're not having any problems or challenges, they allow you to have sex while you're pregnant, and you can have pleasure and masturbate and have orgasms while you're pregnant, because you're lowering your cortisol levels, your stress hormones, and things like that. I had better sex whenever I was pregnant because you have more blood flow to your pelvic floor. So just feel into it with how you are right now. But I would definitely invite you, if you're curious about it, because some of the exercises that I'll be teaching will also help you postpartum with strengthening your pelvic floor and things like that too. Because sometimes after pregnancy, you have more of a disconnection. We can get disconnected from our body, and our body is about supporting another human and not for ourselves. So this is a really beautiful thing to do for ourselves as well. If you have any more questions after that, you can ask. And what are my top 3 sex tips? Top 3 sex tips. Oh my gosh, I have so many. Just breathe so much. Imagine just breathing even from your pussy or your yoni all the way up to the top of your head. Imagine that you have a straw connecting you, and just breathe up. And so I'm going to guide you real quick. I didn't guide you on a cosmic breath. So let's do that, everyone. I'm going to tap you into some breathing so that you can experience how this feels inside your body. With the cosmic breath, what you're going to do is just put your hands in your lap with your palms facing up. This is the receptive mode. And then you can keep your eyes open for just a moment to watch me as I demonstrate to you how this works. And then I'm going to invite you, if you're comfortable, to close the eyes. And of course, if you're driving or not in a safe place to do this, don't do this right now. But what you want to do is you'll want to close your eyes, because where your attention goes, energy flows. So when your eyes are closed and you're doing this, you're bringing your attention and your energy inward. For demonstration purposes, you're going to do a long, slow inhale through your nose, expanding your belly with air like a balloon. And then a long, slow exhale through your mouth, gently relaxing your belly to your spine. Stand up here. So you're going to do a long, slow inhale in, expanding your belly with air like a balloon, and then a long, slow exhale out, gently relaxing your belly towards your spine. Long, slow, deep inhale in, long, slow, deep exhale out. Now close your eyes and continue to breathe like this at a pace that feels good for you. And the invitation is for each breath to be longer, slower, and deeper. And when you breathe fully and you stretch your belly, you're stretching your vagus nerve. It's really healthy. And when you exhale, you can even use sound. Again, sound takes rid of tension. And when you exhale, you can just go, ah, and just let some sound out. And notice how much more relaxed you are in your body. Just take a few moments here. You may notice some tingling in your hands. That's just as your body is dropping in, you're connecting energetically. Doing amazing. And then whenever you're ready, just slowly blink your eyes open and return to the space around you. So my 3 tips are breathing deeply, moaning and using sound, and having your needs met. Don't just focus on your partner's pleasure. Focus on your pleasure and don't settle. Women, we're very intuitive. We can sense when someone just feels like they're masturbating inside of our bodies. And a lot of men are having erectile dysfunction because there's a lot of men that are having porn addiction too. And I support men in recovering from porn addiction. It's more prevalent than you're aware of. So sometimes men won't even make a move on their partner because they've already ejaculated that day. And then they're afraid they're not going to be able to have a good hard on for you. And then you just start to disconnect more and more. Being able to have these pleasure practices for yourself are so helpful. Now, does anyone else have any questions for me about Tantra, about sex, about orgasms, about the program? Because we have time and I would love to answer any questions that you might be having. And foreplay is so important. I love this. Actually, foreplay begins as soon as our sexual experience ends. A lot of men miss that. But as soon as the last sexual experience ends, that's when foreplay begins again. And women, we need a lot of foreplay because it takes us longer to become aroused. And even for me, I even like to having a date night for me to anticipate things is really important, because the brain is the largest sex organ. And for me to be able to think about things and anticipate it can really increase my turn on and my arousal. And then reconnecting to your sexuality after menopause is, I went through menopause and even using like bioidentical hormones, and people can start having menopausal symptoms even as early in their 30s and 40s. Going to the doctor and getting your hormone levels checked and seeing where you are and see if that's impacting your desire. For me, it was making sex more painful because I wasn't lubricating as easily as I was before. Even if I was lubricating my tissues more, they call it friable. They're more tender, and you get little microscopic, like little skin tears, because it changes the texture of the tissue. And so I use bioidentical hormones for that. And that was really helpful for me. And you can have some of your best sex whenever you're menopausal. Yeah. For me, having pleasure and having orgasms, when I learned how to use this power, it's like actually a superpower. And I learned to connect to the power of my pleasure and even focus it on areas of my life. If you've read the book Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, he has a whole chapter dedicated to the mystery of sex. And it talks about sexual transmutation. Our orgasmic energy is our life force energy. There should be no shame in that, because that's the energy that created us. If we want to hit a reset button on our lives and we want to have a new beginning, wouldn't it make sense to go back to the very energy that brought us into existence and connect to that energy? And then from that space of being orgasmic, creating the changes that we want in our lives. That was the game changer for me. And then when I started understanding and mastering my energy, my masculine and feminine energy, a lot of times I thought my vulnerability was weakness. I felt that my feminine energy was weakness, and I've discovered that those are my superpowers. And the world just started to open up and respond to me in such a different way. But women so often are moving in the world from their masculine energy because they want to be taken seriously. If I work with like top executives or attorneys, to be taken seriously in the corporate world, we will lean into the masculine energy, or so that we can feel safe in the world. So someone's not trying to hit on us or take advantage of us, right? And so we can operate from that. We don't know how to flip back into the feminine energy. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Rylan. Feel free to share anything that you want. I've had the pleasure of coaching Rylan before, and it's really amazing. It's always so much fun, the relationships and friendships I develop with the people that I work with. Oh, I love you too, Rylan. If you have any questions about joining the program, just let me know. You can reach out and reply to the email for this and let me know what questions you have. You can save a spot. And I'm going to try to keep it more of a smaller group so it can be more intimate. And that way we can just dive deeper, and I can really support you in such a powerful way. Just let me know, and I would love to welcome you in. I've had my clients tell me, like, I had no idea that one thing with my sexuality, that piece, I've done work in so many other areas of my life, and I had no idea that this was a thing that was really going to unlock everything. It reminds me of the game Minesweeper. I don't know if you played it, and like you open these little blocks, and then sometimes you hit a block and then everything just opens. Everything started opening up. My whole world opened up for me. And the type of lovers I would attract, I got better job opportunities. So many things shifted when I learned how to use my sexual energy and be empowered by it, and not use it just based for my ego or to be manipulative or whatever, when I was using it for my own empowerment. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I really love supporting people being their most empowered version of themselves. And this helps to increase your creativity, your magnetism, and just imagine, what would you be like if you were in your fullest power and expression? What would it feel like to you to be able to move through the world and not feel limited by shame or fear and continue to hold yourself back? What would that version of you be like? How would you begin to show up? That's so much fun. It's a fun space to play in. And I really love it so much. Also, lube that I like to use too is by Foreplay, and it has some CBD in it. I love to use coconut oil, but you have to be careful because that can degrade condoms. But use lubrication and take your time. Don't feel rushed. A lot of times we can feel rushed or feel pressured. Have your lover take time with you. And when you're with yourself, take that same time with yourself. Don't rush yourself, and give yourself a lot of patience and start to feel really comfortable exploring your body. And then you can invite a lover and be like, oh my gosh, I just had this amazing pleasure session. I can only imagine what it would be like if you try to do this with me. I guide clients on like how to bring in using toys or other things so that men aren't as turned off by it or feeling intimidated about it. And it's about collaboration, not competition, and even sharing some things where they can have some benefits. There's some toys can be unsafe for men to use because they can get lost. I've been in the ER and as a critical care nurse and had patients lose toys in their rectal area. It has to have a safe base, a flange base, but there's other things, even massaging externally. Let's say if you're giving someone oral sex, you're giving someone a blowjob. If you have a wand or a vibrator, you could just get that and the tip of it, you could put it at their perineum, that skin between the testicles and the rectum. And you could just let that massage, because inside, up on the other side of that, is the P spot, which is like the male G spot. Whenever we're in utero, before we're fully differentiate in between whether we're going to be male or female with our chromosomes, then we have this cluster of cells. And whenever we differentiate, if we're going to be male with XY chromosome, then those cells form the prostate gland. If we're going to be female and we're going to be the XX chromosome, then it's going to be the G spot. So men, and just unfortunately, their G-spot got shoved up their ass. So there's a lot of shame that they can have about exploring that. You can even externally, like through something, you can do vibrating sensations and do that. And then when they can see how much fun they can have too, be like, this is just something to add. It's not anything to be in competition with. And it can actually prolong your pleasure. So you can start to have more pleasure. So those are some tips that I recommend. I look forward to checking any emails that you have. Be sure to send them to me. I love that about the breath. It makes me feel so peaceful. It reminds me to slow down. Yeah, slowing down, taking our time. So important. Which reminds me of another really good move is this. Check this out. So I want you real quick, if you can, get your hands and rub your hands together really fast, like this, real fast. Right? Now, get your hands and go very slowly back and forth. Notice how much more pleasure and how much more sensation you can feel when you slow down. The brain's largest sex organ. So when we're going really fast, our brain can't even process that much sensation. But men, if they've been learning sex from porn, which is acting, it's not like great sex. They're being dumbed down with that. But then they want to do that jackhammer move and go really fast. And they're exerting themselves. They're doing a lot of work. They really think they're doing a lot. But we're not even, it's just more numbing and we're not going to feel as much pleasure. But with the lover, you can say, have them do that practice and be like, that's why if you would slow down, or we not to say in a way that would make them self-conscious, but hey, if you would slow down, whenever you slow down, try going slower because I'll actually be able to feel more sensation. Why don't we play with that? And that's a way that we can play around and like slowing things down. And then if you slow down and you start to breathe really deep, breathe in really deeply, and even you can take your hand apart a little bit and you can even feel the energy between as you breathe more deeply. So there's like energy in this space, and we have like little chakras in our hands too. So we can have this beautiful dance within our energy, within our sensation, with eye contact, with getting our chakras on and popping, having different tantric rituals and stuff that we can do with a lover. It's such a game changer. So I really love to welcome you in and go deeper into all of these things every week with you. And I really hope to see you there. If you're feeling ready and feel called to it and you're a full body fuck yes for it, let's fucking go. It's always such an honor to guide you on your journey. So just wishing you all the very best. Blessings and blessings, everyone. And let's definitely stay connected. I look forward to seeing you soon.